I never had a clue that we would be on the air for 10 years with these characters.
Our business has become so hard to locate a success that will go for a long period of time that you hope that you're going to get to a place where you're going to get to do a bunch of seasons, but you're just not sure if that's ever going to happen. We just kind of got on a wave and we just kept rolling, but then we got to the end of the closer and we're like, well, is there going to be more? And we got to do Major Crimes. It's like, there was a real desire to see whether or not the characters, people wanted to stay with these characters. We're just darn fortunate that people still want to see us and still want to see all of our friends. Back to the very beginning, when we went and sat in Michael Wright's office and talked about how are we going to do this show, what's going to be different about this show. And at the time, procedural shows were very plot heavy. They were, plot, little bit of character. And one of the things that you want to do is literally just flip that ratio and have good, solid mystery storytelling underneath it, but make it character. And I think that's been our biggest key.
I think Mike is right. We did try to tell solid stories all the time, but we tried to weave those stories into the characters' lives. The relationships that the cast have with each other, the individual actors have with each other, pops up on the screen all the time. Like, there was a year when Tony was very worried about his heart. He was taking his blood pressure at every conceivable moment. He was running into his trailer to take his blood pressure. It was serious, but it was also, kind of funny. And we just sort of wrote that into this. GW's reaction to it was hilarious, and we just swiped it and put it into the show with Provenza and Flynn. And
I would say that if you actually watch carefully, you can kind of pick off things that are happening in real life as you watch some of the things that are occurring between the characters. There's sometimes whether somebody has to lose some weight, somebody has to go on a certain diet. I'm only drinking green stuff. I'm not eating gluten. I have a little heart palpitation. I have my feet hurt. Some of those kinds of things probably are what has happened like a few weeks before, and they've sort of found their way in, and kind of the way that the other characters are reacting to it might just be the way that the other actors are reacting to that on stage.
I like to remind the actors when they're talking to me that they're talking to a writer.
Yeah.
And that I feel free to appropriate whatever they say and put it in the script. And I have done that.
We had 7 years of Brenda at the forefront, and we got to know the other group to a degree. And then when we moved into Major Crimes and we really started to elevate these characters to the forefront and where they were really carrying the A stories all the way through, what it's really allowed us to do is learn so much more about characters that we thought we knew, but we haven't really known.
The new characters who came onto the show also illuminated the old characters. The old characters, you knew their relationships with Brenda, but Rusty and Amy Sykes and Sharon, and so everybody's relationship changed, and that changed who the characters were, and that also changed how the stories unfolded. I was panicked until I realized what Graham Patrick Martin could mean to the show, and we were both doing the finale. And we didn't have Graham in Major Crimes. That was never an idea, never a thought. And while we were
shooting the finale of the closer, and James was still kind of searching for. He was searching for another way to get inside the personal life of Captain Raydor, and looking for a way into getting that sort of. You're going to have the professional side of her. Understood that she was going to be put in front of Major Crimes, but what is that? What are the home life tentacles? What's that personal side of her? And he came up to me one day and he was like, "I figured it out." I was like, "What?" And he said, said, Raydor adopts Rusty, in an emergency foster care situation. And I was like, oh my God, that is absolutely a great idea. And all of a sudden, and literally, it just started to roll downhill. Major Crime started to roll downhill for him in terms of how to birth that show and take it and make it something new. Not just, well, here are the continuing stories, but to have this whole other side of it. And it was, it was just a great stroke.
And also the actor created that idea, because the actor was so good, and he's like, I can't believe I'm only playing this character for a few days. I love this character so much. And that little conversation that we had, and the conversation Mike and I have been having about, wow, this kid, can you believe this kid, how good this kid is? And you put him with any one of the characters in the show. You put him with Amy, you put him with Raymond, you put him with Flynn, you put him with Provenza and Sharon, especially Provenza and Sharon. You put him with Buzz, which is hilarious sometimes what happens with them. And Michael Paul and Robert Gossett. You put that character with any one of those older characters, and he really sparkles. And they really sparkle, and you learn something new about both of them. One of the funniest things that ever happened in the entire history of the show, GW was late coming to rehearsal, and Ray said to Tony, say something to him about being late. And Tony said, no, I'm not going to say anything. He always shoots me down. He'll always have a comeback. And Ray said, he can't have a comeback to being late. And so Tony said, hey, GW, nice of you to join us. And GW said, forget it, Dennison. There was a dead girl in the elevator. I was getting her phone number for you. And
Tony's like, see,
I told you,
Ray.
I told you, always has. He always.
I can't win. I can't win that one. And Ray, of course, had set Tony up to.
Yes, exactly.
And was
of course,
very happy that.
To have them both go. Ray loves to ladle, as we call it. He loves to stir the pot, start fires. Michael Paul Chan, we refer to as the adult in the room, and it's very interesting. Their behaviors have not changed so much in all the time that they've been. Philip is always the very first on the set and ready to go. GW always waits to the very last second and is usually on the phone talking about his charities, some of the charities that he's running. Tony will say, "Oh, we're up. Nobody told me. Nobody told me." That's sort of his slogan, I guess. Nobody told me. And we know the different little idiosyncrasies of each member of our company. Jonathan Del Arco, who plays the morgue doctor, the coroner, Dr. Morales, terrified of dead bodies, and yet there he is. That's why sometimes when he looks, he gets this creepy expression on his face. It's because he's really creeped out, and it's wonderful. We use it because it's like when he almost rolls his eyes at some of the dialogue.
We count ourselves hugely lucky. It's just crazy, Again, just a handful of shows in television history have gone 10 years. And to be one of those, if it was able to go another 10, oh my gosh.
That would be amazing. I would also say 95% of our crew has been with us since year one. And that's kind of an amazing statistic too. And it really does help spread the idea of family around. Like we're all in this together in one way or another. And he's right. When we get the call and they say you're coming back for another year, it's never failed to make us feel like, wow, we are so lucky.